All right, it is 6 o'clock. We will call this March 3rd Common Council meeting order. Please rise.
Yep, unmute yourself.
I am unmuted. I don't know why it's saying that.
No, it's
It's unmuted.
there you go.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Clerk Treasurer Price, can you please call roll?
Will Moore,
Here.
Spencer Kingery,
Present.
Aaron DeBril, Buddy Nelson, Mary Yates.
Here. All right, very good. Thank you. The board has been presented with the February 3rd meeting minutes. Hang on just a second here. Yeah, we didn't have any other meeting, but that was the only set of minutes, right? For some reason, I got two sets. I think it was one from the special meeting, but that, I don't know why it was attached to your email. So, all right, very good. Has the board had a chance to review the meeting minutes for February 3rd? Is there?
Motion to approve minutes for the third, 25.
All right, very good. Mayor. All right, any discussion with the February 3rd meeting minutes? Here none, all in favor of approving the meeting minutes for February 3rd, signify by stating aye. Motion carries. I'll have to look this way because I only have the left side of the room this evening. Yeah.
Jim is over there. Don't
I-
Yeah.
All right. So the board has been submitted the department head reports for review. So without objection, reports will be incorporated by reference into the minutes unless you guys want to go through them.
No.
Okay. All right, very good. Moving on, we have a special guest this evening, interim EDC director for the Carroll County Economic Development. And Jonathan Blake is going to give us a quick introduction. And I think he's going to zip out of here, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mary Yates. Council, pleasure to be here. Jonathan Blake, Senior Director of Planning at RJL Solutions. As Mary Yates indicated, we are serving as the interim LEDO for Carroll County. We actually do this for several counties across the state, but my team and the Community and Economic Development Department are here to serve both in that interim LEDO role as well as solicit and seek the new executive director. So over the next 12 months, we're going to be pursuing, business retention and expansion efforts, work with potential industries that are looking to come to Carroll County, and then also navigate the Ready 1, Ready 2 projects. In addition to all that, we'll also be preparing the job description for the new economic development director. Actually, we have that drafted. I've got that being reviewed internally before I send it to the executive board for consideration later this week. And then once that's approved, then we'll be soliciting applicants. We've already received a few initially, but we're going to solicit even more, getting that posted on the Indiana Economic Development Administration's website, as well as American Planning Association for Indiana, and the Association of Indiana Cities and Towns, which is not IACT anymore. It's Accelerating Indiana Municipalities. But getting that posted so we can start getting applicants. Just briefly about me, prior to joining RJL Solutions last year, I actually spent 20 years in local government. I was an urban planner and yes, you could have called me a quasi engineer, if you will. I did a lot of road transportation work in my local life. Also did a lot of parks and recreation administration. So had a varied background and both in economic development, redevelopment, and parks planning. So just happy to be here, happy to be a resource. Please, if I can be a resource to any of you at any point, please don't hesitate to let me know.
Okay.
Answer questions.
You have a business card with your business?
You would think I would have brought some.
I'm sorry. I'll get some. And I could give that to them, and next time I see if you got a couple cards, I'll make sure they get them. So, okay. Any other questions for Jonathan? All right. Well, thank you for stopping by, and I know you definitely got quite the list of things to venture off in Carroll County since you've started. So
Yeah, we've been having good conversations, had several good conversations today. Regarding the Shell building and some other projects, and navigating some Ready 1, Ready 2 challenges that. And the Ready 2 challenges are really, for those that you don't know, IEDC has stated that no Ready 2 funds will be released until Ready 1 for each region has spent down at least 65% of the funds that they were allotted. We're sitting right around 32-33%, which is not uncommon. We're in 2 other regions in the state, and they're sitting right around the same place. So we're in line with other regions in the state, but we are working very diligently to make sure that money gets spent as fast as possible so that we can move on to Ready 2. So.
okay. Well, thank you very much, and safe travels to the big city, or big town of Flora. Yeah. So, all right. Thank you,
Thanks, sir.
Jonathan.
Safe trip.
All right. Next item of business is Julia Leahy from Delphi Main Street.
Give you a brief update of what's going on with Main Street specifically. Mardi Gras is coming up a week from Saturday for Delphi. And you have 12 of your restaurants who are participating, which is kind of nice. Give that to you.
Yep.
So all day long, whatever hours the restaurants normally have is what's going to be going on that day. Main Street's also working on the annual Easter egg hunt for April 19th. We've approved a facade improvement grant for a very prominent building downtown, so we're looking forward to seeing that cleaned up. And some improvements there, and fingers crossed tomorrow morning, Oprah's gonna call us to tell us if Main Street gets to advance to the next level, which is the Indiana accredited Main Street. So that with that comes more opportunity for grants and things like that. So again, fingers crossed, I'll get the call sometime tomorrow morning and we'll let you know how that goes.
So we were what, 0.02% last year from
Something like
achieving that?
Yeah. For sure, 2 points.
Yeah,
in one
it's-
particular
Yeah,
category.
it's very minute. So, yeah.
So we'll see what happens. We met with them my 3rd day on the job just to go over everything, and so we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Julia. Yeah, Julia, I told the Board of Works has hit the ground running, and it's got a lot accomplished in 1 month today. So thank her for all her hard work, and try not to pile more on her, but just keeps coming, doesn't it? Yeah. All right. Clarifier update. The board has been sent the Butler Fairman update report. I spoke of this in the Board of Works as well, where they are 99% finished. Within the next week or 2, they're going to be hopefully wrapping things up with hopefully the weather cooperates, but after that, they'll do kind of walkthrough inspections, and then obviously the other inspections with the state and all the items needed to tie everything together and then get it signed off. So big news for that. So we'll be looking for another update probably next week or the week after, stating that they're probably starting those inspection processes. But big news for the city that the clarifier project is 99% done. If you haven't been down there, I encourage you to go take a look at it. It's pretty neat. There's a lot more to it than I knew. I went down deck a few times and looked at it, and so obviously once we get past that, we'll start looking at some other areas of improvement for the wastewater plant, but big news that they're almost done. All right, next item of business is going to be, so I discussed this in the, so if you guys are familiar with I think Doyle and all 3 have actually been to the Carroll County, Tippecanoe County Transportation Committee meetings. So how that goes is the Tippecanoe County Area Plan Commission receives a grant from NDOT for the Transportation Committee, which they help Carroll County. It's a joint effort since Carroll County doesn't have some of the resources that's needed to achieve that grant. So we talk about traffic counts every time we meet. We talk about anything that any concerns in all of Carroll County. So a lot of the discussions that we had for the city are, just smaller things. But one thing we mentioned this month was the continuing semi-traffic on Washington Street. It's obviously been an issue. It's continuing to get worse. I think, I know Denny mentioned a couple of months back that, he had seen several semis lined up, and I witnessed last Thursday from the stoplight down to Mitchell's, there was 4 semis. Basically, they had the whole, almost 2 blocks of just semis. And that's not the first time we've seen it. So obviously it causes several issues, jamming up the city. You know, when you leave the canal, there's a sign that says semis must turn left, or, you know, but the task with that is once you get out on Washington, that hard turn right there. So, yeah, and then also their Google Maps is taking them down Washington. So I reached out to Miriam on, you know, what's our options as a city to to try to at least resolve this. I know the issue in the past was we hadn't had possession of State Road 25 yet, and we had to follow some things with the state, with NDOT and all that. So I wanted to bring it up to the board on, you know, what your thoughts were, because to me, it's getting to a point where they're tearing up infrastructure, they're going over curves. You know, some sort of ordinance that, you know, that it's not ultimately going to stop it completely. The trucks are still, but an ordinance saying that if you ignore the signs that you're going to get a ticket, which is common in a lot of cities. So I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that.
How visible is the signs that warns them now?
Right now, there's nothing.
So that. would be a
So
start.
we'd had to put an ordinance in. I believe the last time we had an ordinance was when the county had a weight limit restriction on the canal bridge, which was lifted. We had an inspection done on that last year because of a water main break, and the bridge come back okay. You know, but ultimately that bridge, yeah, the more truck traffic, the more, you know, that's our historic bridge, right? So the less truck traffic, the better. We want to preserve that for years to come. So
9th Street, the corner at Washington and 9th where that makes that 90, is that in the city or is that?
that's county.
That is county.
Yeah.
I know we talked about in DRDC, trying to maybe take on to that project to make that wider.
Yeah.
Until we get to the next meeting, I don't know how we'll go with that. I mean, it's kind of a hot topic with us to do something with it. I don't know how we would make a ordinance stopping semis from going through Washington out that way if they need to get on that side of what is it, the packing place and PNR, that side over there. Oh, yeah. So because they can't make that 90-degree turn, that's the issue that we're running into.
Well, yeah, but they could still make it. It's not something is it challenging? Yes, it is, but it's not something they can't make, right? So,
It's not
yeah.
impossible, but if there's another car coming that way, they have to wait till the car goes
right.
through.
But on the other side of that, we're getting 3 blocks jammed up
Yeah.
because of semi traffic, which is
I'm actually kind
bringing a lot of
Different
complaints.
parts in the canal towards the stop.
They're coming through town, turning at Washington and just taking it straight out to the canal. Or
Yeah.
they're leaving the canal and turning right and coming up through town. So
Is it just for that complex out there? It's not through traffic?
The old PNR warehouse plus the old blow valve.
Yeah.
Around.
a lot of them are going to it's a lot of the same trucks. Like the one I seen Thursday was the same company, red.
There's 2 of them there.
Yeah. So,
Better terminal there.
okay. So, you know, that's happening a lot, and the businesses are concerned, you know, their vehicles, and
Has
you know, it's just
anybody
it's a
talked to the
skinny.
owners of the companies?
I thought,
I reached out to him during a trial and said, hey, I'm asking for any help you can give us during the trial, because we're going to have a very congested downtown district for this trial. And he sent out something to his dispatch, right? Because they got semis coming from all over the country, and it slowed down. It did through the trial. So that was good, but that it didn't last ultimately. But at the end of the day, we still have to have truck traffic for vendors and restaurants and Pizza King and all that. And that's a separate issue than what we have with the 53-foot semi trailers, with the you know, trying to make the corners. And, you know, of course, next year we're gonna have this bridge out that's gonna bring additional truck traffic. So we take on a lot of calls on why are there so many semis in the downtown district, you know? So it's not the first time we visited this. I know it's been tossed around with the council.
I'm like you, man, I'm worried about the bridge.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think It happens all night long.
Yeah, and the bridge is actually the county's. So the county has possession of the bridge. We have possession of the road. But the county, it's under their inventory. But at the end of the day, you continue to let truck traffic on there that we don't know what weight they carry. You know, that's kind of our keystone of the city. It's a historical bridge. We want to keep that for our kids when, you know, we want to keep it for as long as we can without damaging it. So just wanted to
for trucks, period, or wait?
That's why I wanted to bring it in front of the board for thoughts.
You put a weight limit on the bridge, can that stop?
I think I think that would be a better option, just because if you say trucks, then the vendors are gonna start going, well, now where do we go, right? But we'd have to do an interlocal agreement, or the county would actually have to put the weight limit, and then we'd adopt
Well, actually, if it's a county's bridge, you can put a weight limit on the road and that doesn't affect the bridge. It will protect the bridge by
Defaulting because of the
by
roads.
default.
Yeah.
Being in that industry my whole life, if you put a weight restriction on you, then you've got the problem where you get there and you can't cross the bridge, then you gotta turn on.
Right, well, it's when
You
you
know,
have
like
to
it
do
works.
it wherever you see those trucks coming on. So
So-
either at the factory or what, do they get on from right here downtown or?
yeah, they're turning right here, so yeah,
So put it on the road, you could put it back far enough, they wouldn't get in that position, maybe.
yeah, there's a way to get it in Google's system, it's a challenge, but NDOT has software that when they have road closures and all that goes into the software that says I-65 closure order. So that's something that could be done, but I just wanted to toss around tonight with you guys because it's a continuing issue that's, to me, it's getting worse by the week. So
Question.
whether it's an ordinance or a weight limit restriction,
Is this ordinance going to include Maine as well, right? Like out here, because like
East.
when I'm sitting in my office, I see a bunch of semis.
that's
going
already
past
got
there.
an ordinance,
Yeah, we
correct?
already, we already have. an
Is it
ordinance.
already? Okay.
Yes, so NDOT's gonna do an audit for us for signage.
I mean, I knew there were
to
signs,
update
but I
it.
didn't know if there was an ordinance to cover
Yeah,
that.
so they're gonna update the signage on it because of Indiana code
Because there's
statute
been
that's
a
changed.
lot of
and-
heavy traffic, like big trucks, and I've actually seen oversized loads come through there and take up both lanes.
But that, okay, so help me here. It's 421 south of the light,
So this out here is East
421.
Main, which is ours, the city owns it.
but West Main is 421.
Correct,
Correct.
correct.
So you can't restrict Washington Street coming up to the light or Main Street going to the McDonald's.
Correct.
No, just Washington after they're off State Road, US
Main
421,
Street,
Yeah,
which is ours now, correct.
we already have the ordinance in place for East Main Street from the light east.
so
to
is
the-
it not being enforced or is it?
It's being enforced, but the problem that they're having is the signage on top, that's saying the no truck symbol. NDOT's coming in and doing the audit on that, and they're gonna have to fix the signage
Yeah.
for that. There is signs that say no trucks on East Main Street, however, I guess they're not.
They changed,
Yeah.
there's something changed within, it's NDOT, yeah.
Yeah,
So something changed statute wise to where they had to change the signage. So essentially any tickets that we wrote last year that
the
were,
sign was out of spec or something like that, and they have
yeah,
to.
which they're NDOT signs, so they're aware of it, and I'm trying to get with Matt up north to have him come expedite that, because then right now we can't enforce it. We can, but
We can
it's,
still stop.
we can
them.
still enforce it, but it's not, if they take it to court, it's not gonna get anything, so.
The trucks going that are going from Washington Street to the Heartland, where are they coming from?
Some are just going straight, most of them are coming from West Main Street and just going straight,
Just going-
instead of taking
Yeah.
the south out to Heartland, they're cutting straight across, cause
Okay.
it's closer, so they're just
Okay.
taking East Main all.
Because
out.
I don't know if it shows up on Google Maps, the truck ride, it goes down Washington to Adams, out Carrollton Road,
Yeah, cause.
all the
old
way out and then
county
back
truck
to the
route.
Heartland. So they probably see that on their map and go, I can cut straight through, and
It comes even traffic from 24 past Mayor's house and they turn right off of Adams.
Yeah.
And come up Washington.
Okay.
yeah. So again, I just wanted to present it to you guys tonight to get your thoughts and see if you felt anything was needed with it.
Well, if you put a weight limit on toward Canal Bridge. Before, so they'd have room to turn or not get on that road. And then coming from the other direction, the weight limit on the road, then they wouldn't have they didn't have an option before they got to. Like if you just did it on the bridge.
Yeah, so right now, if they can, like I said, they can turn on Adams. If they still have an option until Adams, that's still a designated truck route. Which kind of conflicts what we're talking about, because it's bringing them down Washington, but
No, Adam Street's Carrollton Road, 700.
so it only comes in from the north.
It's from Carrollton, 700 west to Adams, goes west, back
West,
to Washington,
okay.
and then back.
So it
north
doesn't
across the
go,
bridge.
it doesn't go south on Washington, it blocks
Correct.
that off, so yeah.
It's like a horseshoe. To get
Yeah. No. Again, we're talking about this with the redevelopment commission, but that's, that's going to be a process as well. That's going to be a lengthy process in the
Yeah.
event that occurs. So I wanted to get your thoughts on prior to that, if there's anything that you guys thought was needed. Because we do get a lot of calls on, concerned people that's walking the streets and they're up and over sidewalks and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have
So
a question on that anyway. Did anybody ever fill in all those tunnels that run under the highway
those what?
tunnels? You guys too young to know about
I
that.
have no idea what you're talking about.
So like.
Like the old railroad, like the underground railroad tunnels?
No, these are regular tunnels that go right underneath. When they walked them beams through town, I was waiting on somebody to drop it. And they're putting the
Like
brakes
on
on.
Main Street here?
There's.
Oh, when they was doing the Stellar? It's
Yeah.
during the Stellar.
Did they?
Mhm. They were supposed to have filled them with, concrete. They had that happen over in Frankfurt as
They
well.
used to come to the bakery. It was so in the olden days, they could get to the courthouse, not have to go outside.
Yeah. Frankfurt had the same issue with the old
Hardware
school.
Store used to,
So.
and the last time I was there, that thing still existed. So I don't know when that-
That seems like a sounds like an episode of.
Oh, no.
So what's
I
the
mean, like,
board's,
They're not that, they weren't killed, they're just back in the horse and buggy days.
what's the board's thoughts on, moving forward with,
Oh.
is it weight limit
Did not know that.
restriction or an ordinance? Cause if we do choose to do anything, obviously Miriam will, it'll be another meeting before we move forward with it, but.
Seems like the weight restrictions might be better, because if you do the bridge, like you said, then they're gonna get down there and go, whoop, and that doesn't stop them from coming through where you don't want them anyway.
Yeah, well, you can put 65 signs and that's still not gonna stop them, but having an enforcement measure in place that,
Right.
Instead of-
Signage
instead of
and
nothing.
enforcement.
yeah, and signs are tricky too, because you got a lot of poles that have 15 signs and the drivers are trying to read all the signs. So that was a challenge that we had some signs for the school out off of, out by Packers, and they stuck it on a pole that already had, I think, 8 signs. So, but at the end of the day, if it's at least, it's an enforceable action, we can,
You don't have to give it, if it's the same people, if you give them a warning or something, they keep doing it, then they get a ticket. They
right,
quit.
right now we can't, yeah, so.
So if you decide on like, wait, I will need their guidance on what that, because you're right, you'll want to make sure you accommodate local deliveries.
Yeah.
and Restrict the larger.
Do we want to restrict it at just the canal bridge or actually our streets as well?
I like the problem both places.
Yeah, I think you will need to restrict the whole street or else you're
Yeah.
gonna get.
For the
people
weight.
going through it.
Okay,
Like you said, once you get to the bridge. You're too late.
so they have one last chance at Adams, but by then they've already violated if they've turned off at
Yeah,
four
at
twenty-one.
least Adams would be.
At least they can
fail-safe to get
still-
off.
Yeah, so,
Then they're going to use Wilson.
And maybe put in just before the
I don't
bridge, a
think they
couple
make
more
the turn on
signs, just so that they missed the first ones. They got.
the challenge is, especially with East
Oh,
Main, is
yeah.
vehicles are bigger today.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So there's just for 2 regular sized cars, that's a challenge. You'll have a big pickup that sticks out, so cars are going out and around. When you get, like Julie said, a wide load that comes through. We did have a couple of calls last year. I think that someone's mirrors got hit with, so the roads aren't as wide as we can accustom to the bigger trucks. They stick out further because of parking restraints, but at the end of the day, them bringing large trucks down is just, it's dangerous. So what's the board's consensus on anything for weight restriction or ordinance for truck traffic on Washington Street?
And so if we did a weight restriction, we'd have to obviously accommodate for local delivery, but that still doesn't stop the size of the semi, because the semi can still be unloaded and still have a 53-foot trailer.
Sure.
Would that be a height?
No,
Well,
no, 53, I mean lengthwise, we're talking.
He could have a 53-foot trailer with 1 pallet.
Yeah,
but you can also have a straight truck that's as high as a semi.
This is high.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
If you do like a.
It's gotta narrowly define what you're.
So is there, for the local deliveries, are those, any of those semis?
They're not gonna go past like their Pizza King and Wallman's, and those are the little short 28 footers. Those aren't the issue. These are the large 53-foot semis with the bunk. Like I said, the other day, 4 of them had 2 blocks jammed
So
up,
can you
so.
do a weight and length restriction?
we gotta
Well, I
keep
mean,
it-
again, though,
gotta keep it
you
simple
might
for
have a semi
tires.
that has 1 pallet, but he's still going over curves with a 53-foot trailer. And you get 3 of them joined together, and now you got we used to have a turn lane up here. So now 4 semis within 2 blocks, it takes people 8 cycles to get through a
So if you
stoplight.
drop the weight below what a semi weighs, say the small one,
Normally what I've seen.
and put it beyond where the local people are gonna be to make their delivery, then that's gonna stop traffic through there.
The signs normally in places say no trucks other than local delivery.
Yeah. And of course, again, we have to follow the
weight restriction.
MUTCD on that. So there's certain language that we can use.
Could we do that?
Isn't
No,
this technically local delivery if they're going to the, 2 industrial sites?
Yeah.
By the canal?
technically,
Is that a local? Yeah, so.
I mean, it's in the city, so technically, yeah.
No, the deliver sites are not in the city. They're next, well,
I
they,
mean, this-
yeah, they
Yeah.
technically, it's wraps, the businesses themselves are, yes. If the city limit stops at the old, railroad. We have to follow the signage has to be what meets the MUTCD. So we can't make up our own language with it, so.
I'm just asking if it exists. You know what I mean? Because they are big semis that go out there and do the pallet thing and they have those factories out there. I'm wondering if it isn't, maybe if there's some code someplace that has an industrial.
I mean, this would be all the way solved if we just was able to fix Ninth and Washington and then
Yeah.
make that a designated truck route.
And I could do more research for you guys for other cities that's dealt with this and kind
Well,
of,
it seems like we need somebody who knows the language and all that stuff on these signs more than we do. They
yeah,
know
but
how
the
to-
signs will be, we can't just put. Delphi says you can, it's all gotta be federal
Well, you
standard.
can, but that-
Yeah, I talked about this at the BZA meeting. The book from NDOT is this thick on it's even the signs we use everywhere because we get community crossings grants, so we follow their guidelines, right? So you can put your own signs for certain things, but when it comes to traffic that's enforceable by tickets and Bureau of Motor Vehicles, you can't just change what the state says the language needs to be,
We
but
also kind of get into a deal with farmers and tractors too. They got these big tractors that might be over the weight limit, but really don't hurt anything because they're not that long.
right, but I don't
They're
know
cutting.
why a tractor would need to cut down Washington to go around we don't have any farmland within that area, so there's
Well,
421, there's,
They're coming in off Carrollton Road and decide to go around and come back out on.
They do go past.
yeah, they do a lot, yeah, so that's another point, good point, so.
They also can have bigger tires of the weight.
Yeah,
restrictions.
but that's a seasonal thing
Yeah,
that
but
they
the
have
weight
to,
restriction is not gonna say how big the tires are.
True.
Right.
True,
You know.
yes.
yeah, so all
It's
good
kinda
points.
complicated. Cover what you want to cover and not take out people you don't want to take out.
Right, because we still want the farmers to be able to get from point A to point B with,
And you had a good point to start with, and which you had already followed up on, is to talk to the owners and maybe tell them. The truck traffic is damaging our roads, what can we work out, or else we're gonna have to restrict.
okay,
you know,
and I can reach out, he's hard to contact, you might know him, he's an attorney from Monticello,
Oh, really?
yes, he owns, I don't know if he owns both or just the old Globe or the old P and L.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
but he was super open to, when I spoke with him during a trial, he says, absolutely, I'll do what I can, and so maybe I just need to. Kind of revisit that, but at the end of the day, it's the ultimate solution is gonna be, we're gonna have to put something enforceable to stop it, but. Cause it might tear off for 3 or 4 months and then start back up, but, so. Okay, so is that the board, you want me to reach out to him and try it again while we kick around? I'll reach out to some different mayors and see what. If they've had issues, we have a list that we can send things like that
Also
to.
gives DRDC time to see if we can expedite working on that curve too to make it.
Well, that's gonna be a year-long process by the time you get easements and properties and all that.
Yeah.
That's a long process.
Which
for
wherever you look at,
the hard curve out there
Ninth
by
and
Overlook Park.
oh, by the.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And who's to say
Well,
that
who owns
owner
that
might not
property?
say, let's move the fence back and you guys, I'll move the fence back and you guys, if you guys are willing to do the improvements, I'll move the fence back and we're done with it.
Talk to the-
Yeah, so.
Somebody-
Musser's Packaging, yeah, so I have not met them. I don't know if they're corporate office or
I'd
management.
say I was talking to them first, say, hey, look, we're kind of getting in a bind here, but.
Yeah.
Do that.
So that maybe be something that RDC can do.
Shouldn't be any big deal to them.
Yeah, cause that's county, so that would be the county, the RDC could. Yeah, so the road itself out there is county. Yep,
Or where that actual bend is.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So, okay. Well, all good input and I'll keep chugging away at some research with other cities, but again, I just wanted to make sure you guys were aware of the complaints that we get at the city. So like Julie said, she looks out her window every day and sees a wide load, so. All right, very good. Next item of business is going to be Morning Heights Cemetery. We discussed this at the February meeting. Miriam and Amber have drafted up some proposals, which you guys have been presented. Miriam, you want to touch base on that?
We've got some sample ordinances to update the current ordinance. We've got some sample proposals on how you could operate this. If there's a lot of flexibility, we just need to kind of know which way you want to go. The council has the primary jurisdiction, but you can delegate that jurisdiction to Board of Works or to a cemetery. If you delegate it to the Board of Works, that might be the most natural thing because the Board of Works is a quasi-governmental agency already. It has more authority with less regulation. If you were to have a cemetery board like your parks board, there's some additional restrictions that would have to go with that, but we can do that. Some of the things you'll need to put in, and Amber put those in the drafts, just some language about how much and how to transfer, what are the restrictions on transfer, things for you to think about. In terms of, you can set the stage however you want for the cemetery and then hand off administration to Board of Works or keep it yourself as you see fit.
All right.
Do you have people asking for?
I have like 6 or 7 people on a waiting list, right? Only because from my understanding, the people who have called the office are people who actually have relatives that are buried there or, like immediate family, like a parent or a brother or sister, or so there are people who have questioned. I think I have 6 or 7 that are on waiting right now to find out when those spots will be sold. And they're like, we want to be. So they want to be on a waiting list and be like first people to have the ability to be able to purchase a plot. I did have one couple who have family buried out there and she said, well, we need to know where this is moving because we didn't even decide whether we're gonna make other arrangements, in another resting place or we're gonna do this. And so I said, well, it's a work in progress. It may be a little bit, so I think they had decided to go with the alternative.
But we have all the pieces. We've got the plat, showing where the graves are, the pins, and I'm not using all the correct language. The pins have been set, which are the markers that show where the corners of each of the graves are. You've got some language here. So we have the parts. And if you kind of had thought about what direction you'd like to go, whether you would like to set it and kind of what the parameters are, put that in language, but here's a starting point. Amber and I thought that it might be easier to mark up something already in writing and try to craft it out of thin air. So none of that's necessarily set in stone, but it's something for you to use as a guide.
So we can review this in next month, maybe make a decision.
Is that something the Board of Works can take on?
So I was gonna make a suggestion, let's have the Board of Works oversee this, because not only is it, I don't think it's that much extra, but Board of Works meets a minimum twice a month anyway. So we're already.
So you're not waiting that 3 weeks for another meeting? Yeah.
One thing we talked about on that past, we didn't want the lots so cheap, somebody just come out and buy them all.
Right.
Yeah, and
But we didn't want them so expensive either, we're kind of going back and forth.
Yeah, because there's already 36 that's
But
allotted
council-
for the
council
family.
decided.
There are 36 that are taken by the family and then.
And
And those
also,
are for 100 years, like those 36 are allotted to the family for 100 years.
so I don't know that we're gonna, there's expenses getting this done. I don't think we're gonna recapture everything that's spent with it, but I think Doyle nailed it on the head at the last meeting that the point of this in the past was for people that didn't have a place to be buried and, so certainly times have changed, but at the end of the day, it's still our cemetery. It's still our responsibility. So, yeah.
Seriously,
so-
maybe we could put something together, and I don't know what this would be, but maybe, just like they do for you qualify for different programs, have this a certain amount of, if you qualify for this program, because you really don't have any money, you don't have any family, and we gotta put you somewhere.
Well,
I
you
mean,
can
that's what it
certainly-
was originally.
Yeah,
We can
but-
section off some of it to
For
do that.
proper- Yeah.
Wording in here.
I think
something
that's
about
where your
that.
perpetual and your admin burial things fall into place.
Yeah, and you can set aside, some of the price of the grave for perpetual care and can also be a fund for, pauper burials. And you can use some sort of independent standard of what that is, so you don't have to have those petitions brought to you and you have to make a decision.
Just have it already made, you have to follow XYZ guideline. If you
Yeah.
follow within that, then you get the either the price reduction or whatever we decide to do as far as either helping out the family or helping out whoever.
I'd like to make a proposal to move it to the Board of Works.
But you
Well,
have to, set it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
so-
create the machine and then you.
Which
hand it
if,
off.
would be by ordinance at the next meeting, which I could hopefully we could get that passed in 1 month without spreading it out 3 additional.
Yeah, that.
Yeah, so that way we can get started with the process of the course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
This is ready to go, so if this means, do please email Amber if you've got any questions or if you don't care for something and you'd like to see something a little different. But this is kind of ready to go if it looks like that's a direction that works for you.
I will say Cody mentioned last time when we were talking about the $500 for each of those burial plots. He suggested 800, so that'll be another thing that you'll need to decide is the cost per plot. Whether you want to stay with the $500 suggested price or if you want to.
Did anybody find out what the average cost is for a plot?
That was that, after doing a little bit of research, that was what was sent to me. For like today's prices, that's like one of the average, they said, I asked for some advice and the advice that I got was. Possibly $500 a plot with $150 perpetual fee, and then opening and closing would be made to Alan George for like $600, and that goes to him. The city doesn't have anything to do with that. So he would open and close, and they would pay for him to open and close. The only part the city had in it would be the selling of the plot and then a perpetuation fee.
That's every year, then the perpetuation fee.
No, it's a one-time.
One time.
So when you purchase it,
You pay the 150 one time for maintenance or whatever.
yes. And it works slightly differently. The end result is the same, but the way it would work is if you're talking, so that'd be $650 would be the cost of the plot. And then $150 that would be set aside for the perpetual.
That makes it 800 when you're done.
And it's my understanding that the funeral homes make arrangements for the opening and closing. But that's not.
That was
that's
my
not your
understanding as
job.
well.
Yeah.
I mean. Because I don't know, I haven't had anybody come into our office and ask, can you set me up an opening and closing of the grave? Well, I take that back. I had one person.
Yeah, I don't know how we
She
would be able to
actually
do
had
that
her-
as a municipality.
She actually had her mother's ashes. And so I said, I think by law, you have to have like a funeral director there. You have to, anytime you like dig to bury something, you have to have like
Yeah.
an undertaker or someone there that has that. And so I called a person who does that and they said, yes, you absolutely do. So they said, if she wants help with that, she's more than welcome to come over and I will totally help her take care of that. So they were more than willing to help her get that situated, but she had her mother's ashes and she actually had plots that were already out there. Because she has family, she's like twin sisters out there and her mom and dad. And so, her dad, she was had her mom's ashes, but she said, I need to bury her ashes, but she said, I don't know if I'm just allowed to, I said, I
No,
don't think
that's
so, I
right,
think
yeah.
so I actually called someone and I said, my understanding is that you need to have someone there anytime you bury something by law, and so
Yes.
we had a.
So this is not something you have to worry
No,
about.
No.
Other than.
That's
like
the
you say,
funeral
refer it to
business.
funeral
Right,
home.
right,
Yep.
so we would refer it to whomever was in charge of funeral arrangements
Yep.
and doing this or whatever. So
So
they would
your-
probably help the opening.
Your limit is to sell the plots
Yes.
and maintain the property.
And then the funeral directors would come to my office, because I still have the book, and they would record the plots in the book. who's buried
So
wherever.
they handle the opening and closing and the digging of it and covering it back up.
Yeah.
Well, I
that's-
was gonna say that book needs to be updated, because I feel like a lot of times there have been people who have not come in to fill it in. I will say Carl Abbott's very good about coming in and filling his in anytime he has somebody he comes in and says, hey, I need the book, and he'll sit down at the desk and he'll write them in wherever they're, you know what I mean? But there's a lot of plots on there that somebody just penciled in and wrote, so, you know, somebody passed away and they're supposed to be, but they haven't penciled them in. It needs to be updated. So,
That sounds like an interesting.
That sounds like a Mark Smith.
yeah, well, I'm
project.
gonna say Carl said he could help with it if we need it. He's like, if you want me to come in, he goes, I know well, I mean, it's his family, you know, his family's property. He goes, I know that that cemetery really well. He goes, if you want me to, he goes, I could fill those in where they're missing.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
ultimately, we don't want it empty and just never, it goes on so long that
There-
it's never filled in. We don't know who's there,
And
right?
there's
So,
been some who've written letters and traded their plots off to someone else and said, I'd like to give my plots to so-and-so. And they just give them to them and they write a letter, and it's always, I mean, they're inside that book. So anybody that had a plot that they wanted to transfer over to another person, they just wrote a letter and.
That almost could be a summer intern job, is to go out there, go out there. and Put the names on. Get the names up on there.
ancestry.com and, yeah. The recorder's office, they probably have recordings of something, I would think, wouldn't they? So there'd be some research involved. So, yeah, there's a lot more to this than I knew.
That's a good job for the mayor.
Get it scanned and update the book all at once.
Yeah. You want that done by the weekend?
Yeah, if you
Okay.
get that.
I'm on it. Now, I seen it in a Western yesterday. They didn't go through any of this. They just, yeah.
You got to dig a hole, these things, they like that.
Okay, so we will revisit this in April. Everybody has a chance to review it, and of course, we'll continue looking into it as well. So,
If you do, please let me know or let the mayor know if you've got any questions and then he can talk with them to me for changes to bring.
okay. All right, that is all the business items we had for this evening. A couple quick things. One, thank you to Doyle and Denny for last month we honored Mr. Bill Schock for 60+ years in the fire service with the key of the city. It was a great event and a lot of fun and a lot of smiles from Mr. Schock that, yeah, so certainly deserves 60+ years, and gave him the key of the city and a proclamation stating some different things. But we did specify this doesn't mean you can park on sidewalks and all the ornery things that Bill would try to do. That were still no guarantees, but certainly deserving. He's been a huge part of the fire service for not just Delphi, but for Carroll County. So he was all smiles and happy to be a part of that. So thank you guys for your help.
Thank you for
Yeah.
the key to the city. That was really cool that you
Yeah,
guys put
yeah.
that together.
It was definitely a lot larger than I thought. Being yeah, yeah, it was pretty neat award. So I gotta get with Julia, the company that did that said, is it all right if we put that on our social media page? Because they were even like, wow, that's pretty neat. So
Prominent spot in his living room.
okay, good. Let's see. Well, I had one other thing, but of course it's a Monday. Julia covered all that. so-
Chief today.
Yes. So at 10:30 this morning, we swore in Chief Steve Mullen and had a rather large crowd. Julia was concerned with the floor holding up, but it did. So yeah, this was
A little shaky.
this was all full. The walls were lined up with people. There was people out in
There's a lot of weight
yeah,
up
there was every bit of
Everyone.
So were they for him or against him?
yeah.
I mean, it's still tough around here.
Yeah, we had family here, law enforcement from state police, you name it, they were here. So it went well, other than the owl did not work I was gonna try to let the schools watch it. And there was a cable that was unplugged about halfway through that. I did not have time to discover it, but
Tried hard.
yeah,
He did.
it,
He did. He asked me to go, hey, where's Spencer IT? And I'm like,
yeah, my IT guy
Did you-
failed me,
And I was like, did you turn it on?
which we wouldn't have found it because it was underneath the script.
Either turn it on or plug it in, you got half. of it.
But they did have audio, so they got to hear it. So, yeah, but that went well and Chief Mullen, so he could not be here tonight. Tonight's his wife's birthday. And I said, look, I don't want to get on your wife's bad side. right on day one.
Have to quit.
Yeah. So he's with his wife this evening, which certainly deserved, and they're celebrating her birthday. So it went well, and a lot of good feedback and large crowd. So happy to be moving forward with that, and that's all I had. So any board comments or requests?
Oh, I was in this. I was in a hoodie, so, yeah, I was in a hoodie, yeah.
Any board comments, requests?
You said NDOT was coming soon. Review on the signs and stuff.
Well, that's, I say soon, but I worked for the NDOT for 16 years, and they are extremely busy right now with snow removal and several things that they're trying to plan as well, like every municipality and state. So they have been a great partner with us.
Does that
They,
include those other intersections we talked about at the last, down there by, Kane Automotive, somewhere down there.
The reason I ask. is-
yes, they're, yeah.
Monroe.
And,
Oh, yeah.
right turn on red, so I need that out of the way so I can get through.
Yeah, and I went down and looked at that, and that's, I don't know, honestly,
They shot that.
it's, I
baby
mean,
out.
it's
There's no
wide
need for
open,
it.
so I don't know that there's anything that we can put that's gonna, driver error is driver error, right? It's, like I said earlier, you can put barrels everywhere and signs, and it's still gonna happen. So I don't know that there's anything we can do as a city to add to that that's gonna ultimately stop it, right?
One thing I see is coming out of a store, you come out the stop sign, it's way over there. That evidently that's
the stop sign itself, which directions
coming out of the parking lot,
from, okay,
coming toward, like coming from toward Culligan,
uh-huh,
Gordon Road.
so too far over to the right, okay.
That's the-
So I can get with Aaron to say, hey, can we move that, maybe closer to
You
the,
know that part they mow there?
Mhm.
It's way over in there.
okay. Yeah, but NDOT's gonna do, when they show up, they're gonna look at a few things that we have on the list, so,
Coming the other way, I don't see anything wrong. I mean, it's no,
yeah. I'll keep you posted if they make, I know there's some internal changes in the Laporte district, just like there is several districts, but they've been great. They've helped us with a lot of things. So obviously with the new governor, there are a lot of changes going on internally and snow removal, which being in the Laporte district, they get a lot more snow than we do. So some of the divisions up there don't just run engineering. They help with other areas as well. So they're not putting us off. I know that they'll be here and they'll help us get through it. So yeah, they get a lot of it too. So any further board comments?
Residential Development Fund,
Yes,
let's discuss that.
yes. I'm glad you mentioned that because that was on one of
We
my,
have I'll just start off, do we have the updated figure? What was already spent in November? Added to the list,
from Amanda.
yes.
Yeah, so we just got, Julie worked her tail off to get the, what's the acronym?
AFR.
The AFR rolled over for 2025. She stayed late Friday to get all the capital assets entered and,
Mhm.
yeah, so we have one claim or invoice that came in from GM Development for, I think it's 156. Wasn't a large one, but again, it's,
It's still-
we ultimately now the funds that's for this Ready One project are, it's a three-way project between the city, the developer, and then Ready. Right, so the Ready funds have been spent, the developer spent, all the rest of it now is Front Street, the city's responsibility. So we need to figure out a way to get, what I'd like to do is get the total amount that we know to the penny that they're obligated to and get that into the residential development fund to where when we get the invoices from GM, we know we just basically, we do an APV and get that out the door. We know when we get down to the last one, we're done. Right, so right now there's $3,000 some in that account, and we still need to pay one invoice that we just received. So ultimately, we're still responsible for our end of the
How
fund.
much, do we know how much we got left on our end that we owe into this?
Julie, do you have that?
I was thinking it was around 600 something, because we were like almost 1 million and.
Because we
last
paid
November,
we
and
paid
did
the
like
400.
Yes, that 400 and something, so we should be around 625, I think, around that.
Yeah, and they're getting ready to hit it again,
Yes.
probably next month. Once the weather breaks, they're gonna start And, you know, of course, that'll go pretty quick because now it's just Front Street. The rest of it's all done.
I
So,
can
And-
probably, like tomorrow, I can check what that is and I can email it to you to let you know what the exact penny amount is on there.
Okay.
And
yeah,
Because
because she sent it, but it did reflect the 400 some that we paid in January.
because I don't want to take it, like, I don't want to take 600 some thousand out of rainy day, because that will completely destroy the rainy day fund. I mean, let's be honest. So if we did something, I'd like to see if we could split it up. And then that way, when we do this stuff again, we have a solid account that it's there for this. Like kind of what we did with the CMMG, make it to one account and not
Yeah.
have.
Yeah, that's
50
why
million
during
different
budget
places
time,
where-
I mentioned this at budget time that we need to get some funds into that line item and that way,
I
when we
was-
get
I
to
was
this
under the
point,
Impression that that was gonna be for the Vine Street project, not.
no,
for
that's,
Vine
that's
Street.
another task of mine right now is I'm trying to get some grant money to get that attached, but you know, this is all Front Street now. That's the only thing left of this project and so we have one claim that we need to get paid on the next Board of Works. I think it's 156. So,
156,000.
yeah, and then however you guys want to get the rest of the funds, I'll let you toss that around between now and the next April's meeting, but how do you want to handle the claim that we have? You know, I spoke with the interurban team, said, look, I want to discuss this with the council and we're going to ultimately come up with a solution, but it's going to be the second Board of Works meeting and they were fine with that. So for the one we have now, do you want to take that out of rainy day to get that claim paid and then, you know, so it's whatever the council chooses to,
How much do we have?
you
in
guys
rainy day
were
right
sent
now?
the
I just rolled. over the-
updated reports today, so.
Say again, I'm sorry.
I
Julie.
just rolled over the year today,
Yeah.
so those, like it was a process. So I'd have to look to see what the total, like it happened at the end of the day, so
Okay,
I can get you, like, I'll get you a fund and appropriation report.
Okay.
And I'll send it to everybody so you can all look at it,
okay.
and then that way you know what's in, let's roll it over to the next year. If the AFR hadn't taken as long to be able to get the.
That was,
it's back, we would have rolled it over sooner.
We're gonna change some things with that because I told her I can't go 2 months in my job and not know the exact amount of it that's in each account. Because of a vendor that we're waiting to get, when we get questions on things that we can and can't do and questions from the public and all that, it's kind of a guess sometimes because it hasn't rolled over. It's not a reflected
Yeah.
true amount. So Julie worked her tail off Friday and thank you for that. So
Yeah, I guess.
Wish
what
I
do
could
you
have submitted
guys-
it earlier, but I didn't have the stuff I was waiting on other stuff.
yeah, I mean, we know how much we have, right? But it's
Yeah.
a matter of, it's nice, those reports I send you guys, those
Yeah.
are nice. We pull it up and look and say, you know, those are what I spend an hour and a half every morning just sorting through. Yeah, so now that we have, I can continue that, but
I guess what would your guys' preference be if, I haven't got, when we get the reports and stuff like that, look at it, I mean, I guess toss around the idea while we're here, since we're in the meeting. What would your thoughts be, either taking out a rainy day or try to take out a bunch of them?
those are really the only two
Yeah, I mean,
that you're
that's
gonna be
a-
able to do
I mean,
anything
was it-
with it.
100, what'd you say?
Well,
one?
for this invoice, it's 150, I can get it, but
I'm pretty sure
it's a
around
smaller
six-
one. It's engineering and stuff like that, but the total cost, I believe, is 600 and some
I think
that
it's like
we owe to-
625,000.
to finish the contract.
That we're still obligated for.
Sounds like you're gonna split it up a little bit.
Yeah, oh yeah.
For the current invoice or for the,
For the-
for the entirety of the
yeah, we're
project?
talking about this
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now.
yeah. But really, those are the only two funds,
What do you
the
want me-
rainy day and the reserve, general reserve.
I'd rather not touch, I mean, if we're gonna split it, we split it half. I don't wanna completely wipe out a rainy day.
No,
Yes.
don't wipe that
No.
out.
Well, and just because of the amount of money that we, at the end of the year, we go back into.
Yeah,
it.
and we'll be able to do the 10% this year. Hey, we can't do 15%.
Yeah.
Like we did last year. It'll be 10% that we can
10%.
allocate into the rainy day fund, but
But I also don't. want
That's
to
not
go
till
over
what,
$500,000
April?
Straight from the
So.
reserve / general split. Yeah, I think we'll split it.
Doesn't make the most sense, wouldn't it?
yeah, because you don't want to, you know, after this, we can start really dialing in on getting our reserves built back up to where, you
Yeah.
know, they need to be, a comfortable
Let's
range is
split it.
2-3 million or more. But right now, we're finishing projects that have to be finished, right? So we've had to dive into them for some separate issues, but now we're getting to the end of that process and
So
We'll
what is-
split this one right now and then see where we're.
Or just take the 1.6 out of, other ones, do 1.6 out of rainy day, and then everything else would be pretty much
general.
general.
What's that leave us left in the rainy day?
Rainy Day
You want to go
has,
down that report?
Yeah, if you would please. So we're
actually,
here-
just
What, just, do you have a rough idea?
in my office, Julie, right on my, I just printed it out when Amanda sent it at 4:30.
we're here, I'd rather just get it,
Yeah.
get the decision
Let's get
made.
it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's gonna be another
And
meeting
the
and
good thing is we know to the penny, once she gives us the number that Amanda keeps a spreadsheet that, if
Well,
we,
you got
if we
to
got
fill out
another
the-
invoice, I've called out a couple of, the submittals that I've got and asked a lot of questions that I don't think that they got before. So they clarified it and all that, but at the end of the day, it's
I will
the
get
way
with
the
Ready
ready
to fix
language
it.
is if you guys have dove into the ready stuff, it's an interesting process. It's a lot and the language is all over the place. So, but the only part we have left now is Front Street. So I'll be more than happy when Front Street's finished and
Be done.
then we can pump the brakes and just start looking, because obviously we're still reviewing Senate Bill 1 and all those things. It's gonna be a big deal for smaller communities. So I'm going down to the State House tomorrow.
Just this one, you
Yeah.
can just tell us over, it's fine.
I'm gonna go
600.
to the Senate floor tomorrow, Senator Alteen, and try to get a better idea of what they're kicking around. So
Took the staple out of it, so you could flip the pages.
I didn't bring that in here because I didn't know until you told me that. Because I thought that was in 2024 that we paid that 456,000. Cause I was almost certain. Okay.
940. Balance beginning of the year,
Does that have the,
current balance,
okay,
current balance is $493,859.
That's done back, again, 340 something.
What we do the one,
is that right?
no,
That's not it.
That's
That's right there. It's 1 million.
oh, sorry,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's rainy days and 1 million.
no, that's,
Use your ruler. That's why we.
it's not. Rainy,
Ruler's full.
rainy day fund is right there, yeah. Now it's 493,859.
Yeah, and this one was the invoice we had from GM was 150 some.
That's what we have in it right now.
How much you say, 400?
$493,859.04 is what we have current balance.
Basically, this other's 150.
The current one we have, yes,
The
that
one
we
you
got,
won't pay.
yes, we got it in January and they,
120 something.
no,
I thought he said 126.
26.
you,
What was the?
the
invoice?
current one, you guys should have it. I sent all these to you guys a couple weeks ago when we got it. So you
I
can
had just
should
got my
have them
email
in your
back
email.
today, so,
I sent this to you guys 3 weeks ago when we received.
okay, yeah, I still need that.
Well, if you don't remember it, I expect this to.
I think it was 126.
I was thinking it was 126 as well.
Well, you guys gave the number here a little bit ago. I thought you had an idea. So that gets us down to 367.
Roughly,
Doable for the rainy day fund.
because we'll still have June disbursements into the reserve or general fund stuff. For property tax and other stuff that filters in.
Exactly.
Here is this one is 156,510.17.
Okay.
And then this has
65, okay.
remaining contract right here is your information right there. So if you need to make it a little bit bigger. But yeah,
So after this 156, then we owe 461, 972.
We're just trying to cover the first one.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's 150 something.
Yeah, it is 156, yeah. With all that,
It's 493.
you got the calculator.
493.
156, 510, 7.
156, 510.
493, 859.
Roughly 337, not 330,000 left. It's long that's even up with anything.
Yeah, because we'll put another 10% of our general. budget.
Yeah, if you guys are not getting these, because I send them as soon as I get them from Greg Mars, I send them to Julie, I send them to Amanda, the council, so.
This.
You guys
you're
should
talking
have-
About this, right?
Yep, you guys should have all those.
We just need to know if we're close enough to go ahead and make that payment, not put some Jamie.
I think we should just go ahead and pay the 156 out of rainy day.
Yep.
156 out of rainy day, just do that.
Okay.
So that solves that one. And then we are, oh, sorry, and then we'll be obligated. For future 461, 972.
Which in April, we can do the 10% of the 2025 budget back into rainy day. So last year it was 15%. They,
So we'll be okay.
Yep.
We'll be okay with it.
but after that, like I said, after that, we can start building back up our rainy day because the projects that we've had on the books are now they're finished. So
Balance is
461.
yeah, all of Bowen and the infrastructure's done. The ready funds have been, our portion's paid. so-
But that's our obligations, 461 still left into it until they start sending something.
Yeah.
That's just.
As long as.
That's
we're doing
it.
this, we're
It's-
not
it's a
running rainy day
contracted
fund
amount
too
through
far. That's all-
GM.
That's all we're looking.
No, I think.
Yeah.
We'll be fine. Oh, sorry. I think we'll be fine.
Okay,
You're saying. 461.
so that'll be on the next Board of Works docket.
And once they start building stuff like that, that's where we'll, that's.
The problem we had was they would wait a few months and then send us a large, very large invoice. And I expressed to them, you can't do that. We need monthly invoices to, we can't just write you a check for $1 million and so that,
That's not.
yeah, I was a little bit aggravated when we went 4 months and then all of a sudden we got a very large invoice. And I go, that's not how this works. So
Yeah.
we're almost to the finish line and, it'll be a nice project when it's finished. So, all right. Any public comments? Carolyn? No?
Sure.
Tracy? All right. Clerk Treasurer Price?
The only thing I had was the
Going backwards,
property,
but-
possible property. Request for sale from the city to, Justine Maxwell came into my office. It's 2 lots over by Curlin and Smith Avenue. Used to be Justine Alderman, so it was property that is adjacent to her parents' property that burned down last spring or last summer. So she was requesting to see if the city be willing to sell these 2 lots to her family. So I contacted Craig as well, and Craig says there's no wells or anything like that the city has there, so he said.
But
we
they
could-
gotta, I mean, she's gotta go through the process
Right,
of,
so he said he would leave it
Beacon's
to-
not a,
Right, but I was
So-
just for the map's sake, part of
Yeah.
it, so we could see where it was. But he just said we'd just leave it, you guys, we'd leave it to the council and whatever, but he said, so I checked with him, if there aren't any wells or anything.
right. So when they are ready to do, if they really want to do it, they need to have
Yeah,
everything
they have
fully
the contact
prepared for me to
information.
present to the board.
Yep, she has her contact information and said that she would like to move forward with it or whatever, she just wanted to know.
Was there any benefit?
Is
to
there-
keep it?
According to Craig, there isn't because they're just 2 empty lots that don't contain any wells or anything like that. He said they're just empty
I don't
lots that
think
are just
there's
sitting
water
there.
or sewer back there, is there?
No, because we added
Right
some,
at the end and they.
we added that new hydrant back there and some new, did some stuff with the
So-
county with CCMG, but yeah, there's not much back there. But did Aaron look at it, you say? Because part of that
I
is backed by the Army Corps of Engineers
I wouldn't say. what I
area
sent
for the
you.
levy and stuff like
I
that. So we
wouldn't
just,
Sent the email, I sent it to Aaron and Craig and asked them, hey, do you see any issues with either of these lots? For the city having anything there that they couldn't be sold if someone requested it.
but that's a process of, we have to put it in the paper
But he
and
asked me to get
it's,
contact information. to the
yes,
board
appraisals and.
And see if it was even a possibility.
I-
So
I'm
if-
not sure with that.
City's home.
Would those lots be worth less than $25,000?
Yes,
Then there's an abbreviated process if you think that the market value would be less than.
They're just
I think-
limestone chunks.
I want
that-
to say the latest assessments,
We can't, we'll have to get an appraisal,
right,
but if the
So-
appraisal comes in at less than $25,000 for both lots, then there's a faster way to go.
I got the latest assessments from Natick, so.
Have you,
one-
she's been in your office a few times, right? Have you asked her to show up to
Once or twice.
have you asked her to show up to a meeting and?
No,
Present
because
this?
I didn't know if the city would even consider, she said, can you just find out if they would even consider it? She said, just tell me what I need to do.
Okay.
So she was good for that, but
So
yeah,
who's maintaining it now? Who's mowing it and keeping it decent? Are we?
No, it's not,
I think it's just-
well, yeah, I don't know.
Just
I'm-
throwing up
I-
in weeds. It almost seems
I'm
like.
trying to think if that's one of them that, the. Don't wanna go too far, Deb, that he mowed.
Yeah,
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 I think he just mowed it and took care of it. I don't know if Craig mowed this one or not, but. It's not grown up.
I mean, I'd be interested in selling it if needed. If that's what you guys think. Makes no benefit to us. No benefit to you.
And all that stuff and the beacon map and all that to show you what you're running here.
So I think if you want to tell her that we would entertain it and she can move forward with whatever the process is.
And when she asked me what that process is, if she just need
You
to,
could go to.
An
a local
attorney.
Appraiser.
Yeah.
Okay.
and appraise.
Did she need an attorney to write up the? So I had a lot of them, my old office with attorneys.
I mean, if she's got an attorney, that would be fine. It would be just a simple.
Is
Yeah,
it just
we
a
need
real
to
estate
see
transfer?
We need to see the appraisal first.
Yeah,
We don't need to go through a real estate agent. It's a
Right.
private sale, and if it comes in at less than $25,000, we'll take the accelerated version of it. And if it comes at more than $25,000.
so she needs to pay to have it appraised then, and that'll give us the kind of an idea of which way we need to go, so.
Cool.
Yep. Okay,
okay.
Anything else, Julie?
Nope, I think that's it. That's the only one I had a question about.
any further board comments?
Anything else? Guys?
Miriam?
Nothing.
Okay, one last motion.
No, that's all.
Yeah, I
you.
can't make it because I'm always the one saying nay.
Motion adjourned.
All right, I have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
I second it.
There we go.
Motion to, second to adjourn. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
What's that? You make one here.
Common council meeting is adjourned at 7:06. Thank you, guys.